Hello, I'm James Lehart and welcome to the MMA Castaways podcast. I'm joined by Sid. Hi Sid.
Hey man, what's up?
So we've been gone for quite a while, but we're back.
Yeah, I mean, we just had like a tough couple of weeks. Nobody's scheduled this match, but yeah, we're back now.
Yeah, we're back for good. We're back for good. We will be having. We've got a different time slot now, so we're back. We'll be on Thursday, 6:30 British time. I think it's 1:30 US time.
Yeah, 1:30. 1:30 Eastern time.
Yes, it's 6:30 British time. We will be joined by our regular cast, JB and TJ, for next week. TJ may pop in today, but for now it's just me and Sid. And so let's really get started. So let's jump straight in with the UFC, this weekend's UFC. We have got quite a lot to speak about. Obviously, there's UFC, there's Jake Paul, and then we're looking ahead towards Saturday's show with technically it's UFC Liverpool or UFC London, but we're going to call it UFC Vegas. But yeah, you want to jump straight in with the UFC?
Yeah, let's go straight into it. Well, the fight that's, Gerald Marshad's win. Did you catch that submission round two, sorry.
Yeah.
1 minute and 49 seconds in. Pretty crazy.
Yeah. And against Edson Barboza, which is a tough match for anyone.
Yeah. I mean,
he outworked him completely.
Yeah, and it's crazy because it was pretty close up until the finish, in my opinion. Barbosa was doing pretty good, but the right hand, he caught him real good, man. Barbosa was stunned and he just didn't let up until he was finished.
Yeah. It was a really entertaining fight for as long as it lasted too. It wasn't total shutout. It was an entertaining fight. And then I surprised he got a submission on, but he went. Is this Chikadze's coming out party now?
I'm sorry. Well,
is this coming out? Is this a coming out party? Was this the stepping stone he needed to break out?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Barboza was definitely he was on his way to the top, for sure. I expected him to get through Chikadze and probably go for a top 5 contender. So
yeah,
Chikadze is called up for Max Holloway. I don't think that fight's going to happen because
it's a bit too early.
I'm sorry.
That's a bit too early to be calling out that.
Yeah, it's a bit too early, and let's be honest, Max is booked to fight Yair Rodriguez next, and I'm pretty sure if he beats Yair Rodriguez, he gets started short. There's no way they'll make him fight one more time to get the fight.
So I'm pulling the rankings up now.
But there's some pretty good matchups though, because it's just featherweight. There's so many matchups, and for some reason, all of them are strikers, which it's pretty crazy when you think about it.
Okay, so Chikadze's, I think, officially now, as of Monday, moved to ranked 8. So you got Barbosa at 10, Giga at 9, Chikadze at 8, M at 7, Arnold Allen at 6, Calvin Kattar at 5, Chanson Jung at 4, Rodriguez at 3, Ortega at 2, and Holloway at 1, and obviously you got your champion Volkanovski. So for Chikadze, really,
you want to
give him the top 10. You can't give him top 5 yet. So top 10. So we've got to face Emmett, Allen, or Kattar. Really, could really give him Chanson Jung.
Yeah, I was saying, I was talking about this the other day. Chanson Jung does make sense because, I get it, he's top 5, and that would be a big step in competition for him. But he's coming off a loss, so.
Yes, but this is the next step. So if he can get past Sung, or Jung, he will then be in that higher echelon of the UFC, of that featherweight division.
Yep.
Then he's there. Then he's ready to face the likes of Rodriguez, the likes of Ortega, the likes of Holloway, maybe even fight for the title. I think he's about 2-3 fights away from a title shot.
Yeah,
but he's there.
I mean, it really depends on who he fights next, because we've seen this happen. We've seen fighters, just break into the top 10 and immediately take a fight with number 2, number 3 contenders and just propel themselves to a title shot. Yeah. It happened with Volk, literally. The champion is a living example of that.
This is the era we're living in, where they have to call out these fights, otherwise they'll never get them. Let's say,
Absolutely,
unfortunately, that's the area. It's all right having this ranking system, but it's not. It's hardly used the way it should be used.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, but then again, Chikadze isn't that big of a name. Like, he is definitely like a rising prospect, and he's definitely an exciting fighter, but he doesn't really have the star power that usually gets people to the top of the rankings.
this was his first main event, wasn't it?
Yeah, this was his first main event.
And
Which,
this
yeah,
was the SPN Plus card, wasn't it? Because
it
this was weird. This was technically the Ultimate Fighter finale, but they didn't call it the Ultimate Fighter finale for some weird
No,
reason.
they didn't. No, they didn't.
I don't know what's going to happen with Ultimate Fighter. How did it do? Because to be honest, I didn't watch it. I watched the first episode and forgot all about it.
Yeah, me neither. Like, I
completely
don't
forgot
know
it was
how
even
they
on.
did. Yeah, but I watched the finals, like at least the Ricky Dershow's one and the other fight. I forgot the name of the other fight. The Ricky Dershow's fight was amazing. Like,
And
he fought one hell of a fight.
The Brian Battle fight.
Yeah, the Brian Barton fight, right? So I'm sorry, I don't really know the name of the competitors right now because I haven't kept up with the season at all. But
nor have I.
That's what
I mean. So what I'm saying is, I wasn't invested.
Yeah, me neither.
I wasn't invested in it. I'm not gonna lie. I had to watch this card on a replay because I forgot it was even on. I was away working.
Right.
I was filming a boxing show elsewhere. But normally when I film boxing shows on the way home, I'll have the UFC on the way home when I'm driving home. I'll watch it. Well, I shouldn't say that, but as I'm driving home, I will glance at it every now and again.
Right.
And then I'll watch it again when I get home. I just want to get the gist of it. Then I can rewatch it again. I didn't even bother doing that because I completely forgot it was on. Obviously, there was something more prominent in the air that particular weekend. Obviously, we'll discuss that later on. But there was a particular fight that was more prominent.
It hurts to say it.
Pardon?
It hurts to say it for you.
It does, yeah. But that particular fight was gaining more interest, not from me. I didn't even watch it. I didn't pay for it. I watched it the next morning. I wouldn't pay for that.
Yeah.
But
I okay, all right.
So I forgot that I won't lie. For the first time in a long time, I forgot the UFC was on.
Yeah, but to be fair, it was a fairly good card. Like, the Kevin Lee thing was a bit disappointing. Like, went to a decision. What do you think happens to Kevin Lee now? Like, he really is in a rocky position.
So this was his first fight back at welterweight, wasn't it?
Yeah, lost it
and
pretty decisively.
What's his record now? What's his last couple of fights? He's been a bit of a skid, hasn't he?
Yep, 18-7 and 0. 18-7 and 0.
So let me see Kevin Lee's latest. So he's on a 2-fight losing streak. He's actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He's 4-1 in his last 5.
Yep, that's sad. That's really sad.
A 2-fight losing streak. His last win came to Gregor Giuseppe, UFC 24 2000.
One hell of a knockout.
Yes, I remember that. That head kick, wasn't it?
Yeah, one of the most explosive roundhouse kicks I've ever seen. It's crazy.
But other than that, he's fought once last year.
Lost to Oliveira.
Yeah. That was at catchweight because Lee obviously missed a weight. He's returned to welterweight. And he's lost again. So he's lost twice at welterweight because he fought Dos Anjos at welterweight.
Yeah, and not against the best competition. I know Dos Anjos is a legend fighter, but he isn't really the best name at welterweight. Like, I understand if you beat him at lightweight, but at welterweight, he hasn't really had the best showing, to be honest.
Sorry, give me 2 seconds just to let the dog out because he's crying. Sorry, 2 seconds.
All good. Out
you go, don't go. Don't think out. Yeah, so he's not had the best runs lately.
He called out Mike Perry, and apparently there's this thing going around that the loser of Mike Perry versus Kevin Lee gets cut from the UFC. I don't know if that's true or not.
That wouldn't surprise. However, Mike Perry is a bit of a Diego Sanchez situation. Although Diego Sanchez was losing fights, he was always an entertainer fights, and that it's a bit like an 8DR situation too. They're losing fights, but because they're so entertaining, the UFC don't really want to cut them because there's a chance. Like, I don't really want to bitch about Bellator. I'd say Bellator is a a lower league. But there's a chance that if you sent Nate Diaz to Bellator, he'd do really well. You sent Mike Perry to Bellator, he'd do really well.
Yep.
And I don't think the UFC want to risk that, where they've got this big, high-value name and they're doing well in another organisation.
Mm-hmm.
Do you get what I mean? It's like when Rory McDonald went to Bellator. He was such a high-caliber fighter and he was doing really well in Bellator.
Yeah, but didn't Rory go to Bellator out of his own volition? Like, he wasn't cut or anything. Like, he
went on his own. What happened was, I think it was at the end of his contract, and he just didn't want to sign with the UFC anymore. I think Bellator enticed him with a better offer.
Yeah, I mean, I think he wanted to rise in his pay because I think because of the Robbie Lawler fight, he felt like his stock had gone up, but I think the UFC wasn't willing to comply or something like that. So
I know someone who trained, or I think still does train with
Rory
McDonald. And do you remember he broke his nose?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Apparently that really fucked him mentally as well.
Right.
And I think that's why he has these occasions where he's not performing the way he should be. I just seen in the PFL.
Yeah, he doesn't show up.
I mean, in the PFL, he should be absolutely dominating that division.
Yeah.
But he's not having it his way. And from what I've from my understanding, he has a few, not mental problems, but he has a few anxiety issues going into fights.
Yeah, it does happen. Like, if you take damage like that, like, you will have a certain amount of PTSD.
I think he would benefit from a sports psychologist.
He will.
Or a psychologist. Someone like Vinny Shorman. Do you know Vinny Shorman?
Right. Yeah, I've heard the name, but you'll have to enlighten me a bit more.
He's like, he's a hypnotist, but not in a way that he will make you run around with your pants down or something. Like, he's a hypnotist, he's a sports hypnotist. He's really good.
Was he the guy that Chael Sonnen went to?
He may have been, yes. There's a lot of fighters who have gone to him. I think Cody Garbrandt went to him as well.
Right.
He does the AFCO, he commentates on the AFCO cards that I do. He's really, really good. I haven't seen him do his hypnotism, but I know that a lot of people do vouch for him. A lot of
hypnotherapy is legit because it's a way of like unlocking your subconscious life and really trying to find out what's underneath, your many layers of anxiety and mental blockages. So
I mean, I know Rogan does vouch for him really well. Liam Harrison, Thai boxer Liam Harrison, they got a bit of a bromance going on.
Right.
He really vouches for him.
But
yeah, no. So I think he'd benefit from something like that.
I wouldn't be surprised if he already is consulting a sports psychologist and we just don't know about it because
maybe
these days it's really a very reasonable and logical step because before it was unheard of, but now mentally conditioning yourself is a really big part of you. So
yeah,
at least it's been given a lot more importance. Yeah.
So moving further down the card, we obviously had the Bryan battle versus Gilbert Ubana, the Ultimate Fighter middleweight final.
Yeah, the craziest part of the fight was I don't think anybody expected Bryan Battle to finish by submission. Like, from what I've heard of him, he's a striker.
So, correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't he eliminated originally from the competition?
I don't think he was eliminated originally, but he was the last pick of. I don't know what is the team Volkanovski, but he was the last pick. I'm pretty sure
there was one. I don't know whether it was the bantamweights or the middleweights. It was someone who got a second chance because the other opponent got out again. I didn't watch the show. I need to check it out. I didn't watch the series, so I'm not really sure. But I'm pretty sure.
I'm not sure about being eliminated, but I know for a fact that one of the biggest narratives of Bryan Battle versus Gilbert was that Battle was the last pick and now he's the winner. So I think you might be talking about that.
Maybe, but I think I'm pretty sure Calvin Gastelum was the last pick as well. On as soon as the Ultimate Fighter.
Yeah, Gastelum was the last pick,
and he took out the number one pick, the number one favorite. I haven't forgot his name now. Uriah Hall. Uriah Hall.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, Uriah Hall was obviously had them two crazy knockouts. He was.
And what's crazy was the hype behind Uriah Hall back then was crazy. He was, touted to be the next Anderson Silva and whatnot. That's pretty crazy when you think about it.
Yeah, I mean that was he was supposed to be. He hyped up this really, really hyped up fighter. Just trying to figure out why is the Ultimate Fighter not got a new Wikipedia page?
This new
Ultimate Fighter
Right.
is that it hasn't even got its own. It hasn't even. No one's even made a Wikipedia page for it. That's how unwatched it was.
It was very underwhelming because, I mean, first of all, like Volkanovski and Ortega, I get it, like, featherweight contenders, but really there's no drama behind it. If they had put Jorge Masvidal versus Colby Covington, I swear to God, I would have watched every damn second of it. Like, it would have been so crazy.
I'm literally on the Ultimate Fighters Wikipedia page now, and it only goes up to season 26, which was the. Do you remember when they did? What was it?
Or season 26, I don't know.
It was the flyweight champion. Do you remember they were doing the women's flyweight? That was the last season before they cancelled it for a few years. So that hasn't been updated since then. So that's how watched.
Yeah, but there was.
I feel.
Yeah, and from what I can tell, like from the few people who did watch the show, like even the drama that was there was very fabricated and immature. So.
Well, that's what
I'm not
that's what Volkanovski said. Was it Volkanovski? Yes. No, I think it might have been. Who was it? No,
like
it was Ortega. Sorry, it was Ortega. It was Ortega said on Brendan Sharp's Fight Companion. He had a stare with TJ. And TJ said a lot of the drama in there is fabricated.
Wow. Like,
So
did he admit?
If you watch the Fight Companion, I think it wasn't for this UFC. It was for the last
Right.
one. I think it was for, what was the last pay-per-view?
Oh, it was freaking
265. Yes. So they did a companion for the that is because obviously Brendan Schaub brought the companion back now, hasn't he? He's taken over.
Right.
And it's, to be fair, it's pretty good. It's got Josh Thompson on. I think Josh Thompson's going to be a mainstay, but then he mixes up the guest. So for this weekend, they did the Jake Paul fight, and they had, who did they have in it? They obviously had Josh Thompson. They had Rampage. Rampage was giving off all his pride stories. It was the funniest thing ever. Yeah. So it is pretty good. So if anyone's watching, that should be someone you should check out. It is really good. As much as people like to bitch about Brendan Schaub, he does a good fight companion.
Yeah. Well, I mean, speaking of, I mean, you really want to get into it right now because it seems to be a sore subject among MMA fans.
I'm not really fussed, to be honest. It is what it is.
I mean, I personally don't see any evidence of it being rigged. Like, I understand.
So people saying it's rigged. People saying
a lot of people
going out there saying it's rigged.
A lot of people saying it's rigged. Like, it's spreading all over.
Well, if it was rigged, Tyron wouldn't have risked it throwing that punch through.
I'm sorry.
If it was rigged, if this was a rigged fight, do you think Tyron was paid off? Do you think he would have thrown that punch that he threw that nearly knocked Jake Paul into the other seats? He wouldn't have that, would he? Because that caught him flush. And had them ropes not been there, he would have, well, obviously not been there, but had the ropes quite high, had the ropes been any lower, he would have went through them ropes.
Yeah, he would have been.
That was an unusually large ring.
Yeah, it was. I'm not sure why.
Jake Paul requested that. More to move around.
Oh, really?
Yes, I think it was 24 foot. What's the standard?
I mean, to be fair to him, he was using a lot of movement in the fight. Like, Jake's biggest weapon in this fight was his movement. Like, he was circling the ring quite well and cutting off corners and stuff like that. I mean, he wasn't cutting off corners. Tyron was, but
standard boxing ring is between 16 and 24 feet, depending on who does. I think they can request. You can request a different size, but Jake Paul.
I mean, when you think about it, in hindsight, it makes sense. Like, look how explosive Darren is. Like, for sure, he'd want a bigger space to move on.
So it was actually a 20 by 20 ring. So 20 foot by 20 foot.
That's pretty big. Like,
it's quite a big
16.
ring.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was quite big. What was Mayweather fighting? So.
Pretty sure Mayweather was ball was standard ring. I could be wrong.
I'm just trying to look at what he got for the. So that was it. What was the ring size for it though? I just want to know the ring size. I don't want to know what the bullshit. It gave me his actual ring size.
Right.
I don't want to know that. So Mayweather used to use a 20 by 20 ring as well.
Oh shit.
Yeah, which is why Mayweather could move around so much because a smaller
Yeah,
ring, you've got a smaller distance to cut off.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's.
And obviously Mayweather's defense was not, people would say running away, but it's not. It's cutting off the ring and it's using his footwork. So he had the bigger ring to do that in. I'm pretty sure that was the same thing that what happened with Canelo and Billy Joe Saunders.
Right.
And I think that was quite a big ring too. Which
it was bigger.
impeded Billy Joe's efficiency in that fight. Obviously, he got caught and his eye got busted, and that's the end of that fight, and that's probably the end of his career.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so the fight itself, was pretty okay. It wasn't.
No,
It wasn't something I remember in a few years.
No, I think I was pretty entertained. Like, obviously, like it wasn't crazy fast paced, but I saw a few things from Jake that definitely impressed me. Darren was super disappointing. Like he kept moving forward, but he didn't throw anything.
Apart from that one big punch he threw, it was not really much from him, which I was surprised by because I've always said Tyron has this one punch knockout power. I always said that. Whether Jake Paul can take a punch, maybe.
I mean, I don't know if he can take a punch, but I was definitely impressed with the fact that he didn't lose his composure after getting hit that hard.
I mean, but it was blown out of his ass.
Yeah, it was.
After four rounds, he was absolutely shattered. So that's something that's his fitness is a question. That is fitness is questionable. But then again, Woodley wasn't exactly full of energy either.
Yeah, but
I'd say he had I said he had the larger gas tank, but that's expected of Woodley. I mean, for Christ's sake, he only just finished fighting in the UFC a few months back.
And it's also like Woodley didn't really push the pace. Like obviously he was moving forward, but Jake didn't really have to work. Like Jake was literally just working a heavy bag. So by those standards, it's kind of concerning that he kind of gassed out in 4 rounds when he really wasn't working that hard to get through to Woodley. And because Adesanya said this in his breakthrough, so Woodley was looking for one big shot. And a lot of people were saying that, Jake didn't have as many power shots as Woodley, but Jake was constantly active. Like he was constantly throwing the jab, maintaining distance. He wasn't letting Woodley come close. I mean, Woodley should have tried better. He should have cut more angles, used a bit of head movement, shot her straight to the body, come with the hook, stuff like that. Classic Woodley. Really didn't do anything.
Let's put it this way. In terms of the entertainment of this fight, I've watched thousands of fights. I filmed thousands of fights. It's what I do for a living, and it wasn't the most boringest fight I've ever seen. There's been a lot worse fights that I've seen. It's definitely, it won't be, I wouldn't say it's going to be rememberable, but it's not the worst fight I've ever seen in my life. It was all right. I mean, for what it was.
Yeah. It's a shrug.
For the show, for that type of show that it was okay.
Yeah. I was really more entertained by the co-main event, Serrano versus that other fighter.
The undercard, to be fair, the undercard was pretty stacked. I mean, we had Tobias with that stupidly knockout. That guy shouldn't have been anywhere near Tobias.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then obviously we had Tyson Fury's brother. I couldn't say Jay Paul. Tyson Fury's brother, Tommy Fury, which is what I want to get into. Really, I want to break this bit down. So. Tommy Fury is expected to fight Jake Paul next. I'm saying this now.
Aren't they working on the rematch right now? Jake and Tyron? I don't know if it's happening or not.
I don't know. I doubt that's going to happen. And what I'm gathering about will probably happen is Tommy Fury. This is why they brought Tommy Fury over there. This is the whole reason he was brought in there in the first place.
Yeah, to set up the fight.
Set up that fight. And there was that backstage confrontation. Did you see the backstage confrontation?
Yeah, I did see that. Jake
that's the golden nugget. That's the setup. That would probably planted that on purpose. That is the golden nugget.
Yeah.
Because obviously Tommy Fury has all these Love Island fans, and he has that name behind him. Obviously Jake Paul has his fans. So it's Love Island versus YouTube, reality versus YouTube. It's that type of fight. Based on Tommy Fury's performance, don't forget this is his first proper fight against someone who is actually a proper fighter who has a winning record.
Right.
He has a long way to go, and I would probably, if I was to force to make a bet, I'd say Jake Paul beats him.
Really?
Based on that fight, yes, Jake Paul beats him with relative ease too.
Yeah, but to be fair, like,
and that's saying something.
Yeah, I know it's crazy, but to be fair, like, I also think Tommy's somewhat underwhelming performances because Anthony didn't want to engage him. I didn't really see the fight. I saw the highlights of it later on, but wasn't his opponent like really defensive the whole fight? Like I could be wrong.
To be fair, this is a fight that Fury should have won in explosive, impressive fashion. It was set up for him. This fight was all set up for I keep saying Tyson. This fight was set up for Tommy Fury to go out there, blast him out and around, and then come out with Jake Paul. That's what that was the whole purpose of this fight. It was a gimme fight.
Yeah.
And he struggled. I think he struggled. I mean, he didn't struggle as in he was losing at all because he wasn't losing at any point of the fight. But
wasn't generating offense.
No, it was strange. He should have went out there and completely outclassed and outblasted the guy. He never. And he showed a lot of flaws. And the problem with Tommy Fury is everyone is comparing him to his brother Tyson. And it's a very unfair comparison to make because Tommy Fury...
Absolutely, I mean...
Tommy Fury doesn't have this amateur background that Tyson Fury has. Everyone forgets Tyson Fury had this massive amateur background. Tyson Fury was supposed to fight in the 2008 Olympics. He was supposed to be on the same squad as James DeGale, Tony Jeffries, Billy Joe Saunders was on there. The only reason he wasn't on the 2008 boxing squad for the Olympics was because he got beat by David Price. David Price beat him in the amateurs, and that's what stopped Tyson Fury going to the Olympics, which is quite ironic because David Price, in his pro career, has been not very good. He's obviously class jaw, hasn't he? He got found out by
but Thompson.
The guy can punch better than anyone, but he can't take a punch for shit. This is his problem. He's a hell of a boxer, but if he gets caught, it's game over. And the problem with heavyweights is that everyone hits hard.
Right.
And you can't take a punch at heavyweight. Don't box at heavyweight.
Yeah, rest in peace, Brendan Schaub.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with David Price is he's too tall, so he can't make cruiserweight.
Right.
And he can't take a punch, unfortunately. But he's a good boxer other than that. But yeah, so he beat Tyson Fury in the amateurs, which is why Fury never got onto the Olympics team. And they were supposed to have a pro fight, again, a rematch as professionals. But
never materialized.
Something they was booked. Something happened, and then David Price fought Tony Thompson, and Tony Thompson knocked him out in 2 rounds, I think it was, or 3 rounds. And so there was an immediate rematch, and then Tony Thompson knocked him out again, and that was it. Tyson Fury said, "Well, he's never going to get a fight at me now. He's not my class." Right.
I mean, if you have a glass in at heavyweight, I don't think you should really stand much of a chance against Tyson Fury.
So a lot of people are making that comparison between Tommy and Tyson, and I think that is kind of unfair because Tommy is nowhere near that class because he doesn't have that pedigree behind him. He might have the bare knuckle boxing, gypsy stuff behind him, and he probably has been training all his life, but he doesn't have that amateur pedigree. Obviously, the amateur pedigree will help you come across all. It's like a lot of people were shocked when Andy Ruiz beat Anthony Joshua, but I wasn't shocked because I know Ruiz's amateur background. And because Ruiz is a small fighter, he's fought 1 million Anthony Joshua's before.
Right.
Because Anthony Joshua has that kind of style where he just comes forward and uses all his brute power. But Ruiz, being a small fighter, has come across that so many times. And he knows how to defend himself and how to bypass that. And that's why it wasn't a shock to me when he beat him. I said he was going to beat him.
Yep.
I had that feeling. I didn't think he was going to beat him the way he did. I thought he was going to outpoint him.
I mean, to be fair, a lot of like the build-up to the fight was based around the insane amount of hype behind Joshua, and also like they were comparing the physiques and all of that, which is stupid because even as a pro, Ruiz had a more than credible record. You know, let's be honest.
Up to that fight, his only loss had come to I think it was Povetkin was his only loss, and it was very controversial too. But
I think Ruiz can come back. I think.
Ruiz is on the comeback. I think he did have a fight. I think he's just had a fight.
Yeah,
so he is on the comeback. Ruiz could be back up there again. But what I'm trying to say is that amateur background gives you that pedigree to fight all these different styles of fights, and because it's not okay to lose, but it's okay to lose at amateur. Right. If you have this long amateur career, it builds you up because traditionally you have this long amateur career, you go to the Olympics, you compete in the Olympics, you turn pro. So within the Olympics has just finished a few weeks back. We're now gonna have an influx of new boxers in each division
into the circuit.
Yeah, into the pro circuit now, because once you've hit that element of you've got a gold, bronze, or silver in the Olympic, it's on to the next level now. That's what happened to Billy Joe Saunders, happened to Tony Jeffries. Obviously, Tony Jeffries was doing really well, so he kept on breaking his hands, so he had to retire. Billy Joe Saunders had this really, really good career. He beat Chris Eubank Jr. Obviously, his only losses come to Canelo, which is probably a career-ending loss.
Right.
James DeGale had an okay career, domestic-wise. International-wise, not as good. Not as good as Billy Joe Saunders, anyway. But Amir Khan was the Olympic medalist.
Right.
Lennox Lewis was I think there was Lennox Lewis Olympics. I think it may have been. I can't remember. I've had the Holyfield Olympics cruiserweight. So all these boxers, that's the path they normally tend to take. Roy Jones Jr., but he got absolutely robbed in the Olympics. Mayweather being a prime example, but he got absolutely robbed. Like, it was probably the worst robbery in boxing ever.
Yeah, it was a big robbery. Like, when you see the fight, for sure he should have won that.
I mean, there was a robbery in this Olympics.
Yeah.
I cannot remember the name of the guy, but there was an absolute robbery in this Olympics. I couldn't believe it. But that's a debate for another day. There tend to be a lot of. I mean, do you ever hear about the story of the Ukrainian? The Ukrainians rigged the Olympics.
Nah, I haven't heard of it. What's up with that?
It was Ukraine. I'm pretty sure it's Ukraine. Oh God. And I can always remember Teddy Atlas going absolutely mental about it. Like, you're going crazy. He hit the roof. So what happened was he was fighting this Japanese guy. He was winning, but then a Japanese guy knocked him down about 3 or 4 times. And he touched down 3 or 4 times. And the referee never counted once. Kept on saying to him, get up, go on, get up.
Right.
Kept the fight going. So because this guy never got a quote unquote knockdown,
standing count.
Yeah, you never got a standing count. It doesn't go down as a 10-8 round.
Oh shit!
Because it's not count, because he's saying it's a slip. You don't count that as 10-8. It's still a 10-9 round.
Right.
And it basically went to the scorecards, and this Ukrainian guy won. And it was in London. It was in 2012. This was, and oh god, I thought it was going to be a riot.
Yeah. Speaking of which, like, you think Jake should have got a standing 10-8 count this weekend? Like, after being rocked like that.
Because of the level they're fighting at, and I've seen it. I have seen people take punches very clean at proper.
Right.
We're talking proper professionals now. I've seen them take punches cleaner. Sorry, less clean than what he took, and they've had standing 8s. I mean, I can actually probably pull up a fight. I don't think it's on this computer though, but a fight I filmed on the weekend.
Right.
They had a few standing 8s there where they were just caught clean. They're up against the ropes and they've been caught clean, and because the ropes has kind of kept them up, it's like, okay, 10-8. Let's start giving you a 10 count.
Right.
I was surprised. Yeah, you are quite right there. That should have really been a standing 8.
Yeah, and what's weird is
that been a standing 8, Woodley would have won.
Right. Yeah, for sure. Like, I think, that would have counted as a knockdown, right? He would have got a 10-8 round for sure. He deserved a 10-8 round, but there was a lot of stuff about the fight that really irked me. Like, for example, I don't know if you got this, in between the rounds, like, this was trending on social media as well. The commentators talked about how the judges for the fight were quite inexperienced. I don't know why they would say that. Like, they literally just threw it out there.
Why would they have inexperienced judges?
I don't know. They just said...
But this was sanctioned by Ohio Commission, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
So if it's done by a proper commission, they should just divvy it out like they normally do, like the UFC, and when they're in Vegas, they just give whoever is on the rotation.
Right.
So why would they have all inexperienced judges at the same time?
Yeah,
that makes no sense to me.
Yeah, and I don't know how you just say that. Yeah, I don't know how you say that in the middle of a broadcast. Like, they just threw it out there. They just said, we have very inexperienced judges for this fight. That doesn't make sense. Like, why would they say that? And why are they there in the first place?
To be honest, it was really weird because Showtime didn't do a very good job of it. It was surprising with it being Showtime. Maybe
Yeah,
they didn't want to put all their effort into it because they knew what type of show it was. But for
right.
Showtime, it wasn't the best of their productions.
I mean, Showtime is supposed to be like the king of the production.
Well,
Like I
yeah,
found their production better than the UFC at times.
HBO's gone now, so Showtime is supposed to be the premier boxing outlet
Yeah,
in the States.
absolutely. Yeah,
Obviously, DAZN that is taking over, to be fair. DAZN is taking over. DAZN,
yeah,
especially with Matchroom now.
yeah. But Showtime's been there for so long, and it's been perfect for ages.
Showtime's been around since the 70s, hasn't it?
Yeah,
70s,
it has.
80s. It's Tyson. It was where Tyson used to fight on all the time. It's where
Yeah,
Mayweather
Tyson
used
is
to.
much.
It's where Mayweather had his final fights. So
Yeah,
Showtime is supposed to be this really big outlet, and the production wasn't the best. And I question that. Why? Was it because the pay-per-view was so cheap, so they didn't have the big budget? Because the
yeah,
pay-per-view
and also,
it was $60 normally. Boxing pay-per-views
yeah,
in these states is around $80 to $100 depending on who's fighting. I mean, even
yeah, and also like if you, I don't know if you heard about this, but Jake's been like playing around with finances quite a bit. Like he made sure the fighters on the undercard got paid a lot.
which to all credit to him for that, to be honest.
Yeah, like Amanda Serrano got plus 500K just out of nowhere.
Yeah,
Like
no,
almost.
that was his doing. From what I can gather, that was his doing, and all credit for where that is. I don't know whether he's just doing it to piss Dana White off and say, "Look, I can get this money. You can't. You don't do anything for your fight." I don't know whether that's what it was.
I mean, it probably is.
But to be fair, he's still got them fighters paid, so that's fair enough.
Yeah,
Woodley,
honestly.
well, let's be honest. Woodley's probably got the highest payday he's ever had in his career from this fight.
For sure.
And that
He didn't get paid this for the MSG card either. I'm pretty sure of it.
So I'm from what I've heard, they both got $5 million each without pay-per-view cut. So that doesn't include the pay-per-view price. So I'm not sure what the pay-per-view's trending at. I mean, I can have a look.
Yeah, from what I can tell, obviously Jake isn't the most reliable narrator, but he said that this is the second biggest boxing pay-per-view of the year. I don't really believe him.
So what was the biggest? The biggest would have been...
Biggest was Mayweather versus Paul. Nah, biggest was Mayweather versus Paul, according to him. I think that's a load of shit, but I don't know.
I would have said it was Canelo. So apparently it's trending at 1.3 million buys, so that means it did more than the Conor McGregor fight this year, which I doubt.
No, McGregor was supported at 1.8. I'm pretty sure.
1.8. Was it 1.8? Was it?
Yeah, it was. I'm pretty sure of it, and it was like 1.8, 1.9, like for
but
both events.
1.3. Can you really see it? 1.3.
Look, from what I know, Jake's been known to fabricate his numbers.
Well, to be fair to Jake, it's not him who's fabricated the numbers. From what I can gather, it was actually Triller who fabricated them numbers for this last fight.
1.7.
Which is why, 1.7 for the Nate Robinson fight. Which is why I think Jake left Triller, went to Showtime. I mean, I got to watch my P's and Q's here because obviously Triller is Fight TV, and I do a bit of work with Fight TV. So I need to watch. But from what I can gather, I think Triller weren't too honest with that figure.
Yeah, and I think Triller is just really badly managed because if you remember after the Ben Askren versus Jake Paul fight, like they sort of
that was it. So it was Jake Paul Ben Askren fight, not the Nate Robinson.
Yeah, not Nate Robinson. Yeah. What they did was they asked a bunch of people to pay $50 on the website because apparently they were like, we know that there was a bunch of illegal streams. You got to pay us $50 or we're going to sue all of you, which they never did, by the way, obviously. Like, there was no way they were going to sue millions of fans watching it illegally. But,
well, see, Dan, this is the problem. This is the problem with this. So, it's a very tricky one. You can sue someone for streaming it illegally, as in me connecting my Sky Digital box or my Sky Q box or whatever to my computer to then let you watch it.
Right.
But if you watch it, there's nothing really they can do to you.
There's
something they can do to me as the streamer. There's nothing they can do to you as the viewer. They can't demand a payment from you as the viewer.
Yeah, but it's just consumers' freedom, right? It's consumers' freedom, like products available on the internet. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like put it this way, in this country at one particular time, all the pubs were. So there's a really weird law in this country that at 3:00 on a Saturday afternoon, You are not allowed to show football
What?
live. You can't. No broadcaster is allowed to show live football at 3 o'clock in the afternoon on a Saturday.
Any reason behind that?
Yes, it was in the 80s, and what it was a lot of the smaller clubs thought that if their clubs are playing on TV, no one's going to turn up to the ground and pay for the tickets.
All right.
So a law was passed to say that at 3 o'clock, no games are allowed to play live, and they're allowed to be played, but they're not allowed to broadcast live on British TV. However, if you have a big enough satellite dish, you can pick up Turkish TV. And it'd be shown, and it'd be live in Turkey, or it'd be live in France or Spain or whatever. Ridiculous, I know. So what happened was a lot of the pubs used to have these boxes where you could connect a big dish to it, and it would pick up the broadcast. Now, someone from the Premier League could go into that pub and find the pub, but it can't go around and give a ticket to every single person who was in the pub at that time watching TV. Do you see what I mean? It doesn't matter the venue. The principle stays the same. You can sue the person who's distributing it, but you can't sue the person who's receiving it.
Yeah, and it's stupid because they asked viewers to pay $50, which is
but it's not going to happen, is it?
It's weird.
Prove it.
Yeah.
So if it's like if I was to get that letter now, all I'd do is turn around and say, "Prove I watched it."
Exactly.
It could have been my mum. It could have been next door and hacking into my Wi-Fi. Prove that it wasn't.
Exactly. And
my Wi-Fi is unlocked. It's not. I could turn around and say, my Wi-Fi is unlocked. Someone could have been across the street or sat in the car watching it. Prove that they weren't.
Yeah. And what you're going to do, you're going to drag me all the way from India to the US and get me to the court on a particular day. Yeah.
I mean,
shut your mouth.
Do you think India's going to extradite you for that?
What's the question?
Do you think India would extradite you to the United States for you to be fined $50?
Oh, mate, I've said a bunch of dumb shit on the gram about the government. So, yeah, for sure. They'll just ship me off the first chance they get. But,
honestly, it doesn't work. It doesn't work like that. It works for the illegal streamer, the person who's doing the broadcast, because I know that. And there has been times where people have been taken to court and they have been put to prison. I personally know a case where that's happened, and the guy I know got 7 years in prison for that. So I know that happens. But as far as you as a viewer, no, can't do anything to you.
Yeah, they can't do exactly.
It's like,
and how are you gonna sue like millions and millions of viewers across the world? I don't know.
They can invoice you, but you have no obligation to pay that invoice.
Right. Yeah, obviously,
they can invoice you for it, but who is dictating that you pay that invoice?
Yeah.
Are they going to send a debt collector around? It's one of them. It's very difficult.
Yeah, it's like you said. If they send me an invoice asking me to pay the full price of the pay-per-view, prove that I did it, and I'll pay.
Yeah, exactly. But moving on. So this Saturday we have UFC Vegas. It's Till versus Brunson. Now this is technically UFC London. Obviously,
hell of a fight.
Yes, it got moved. I think it's due to all the. So what it is you come to the UK, you have to isolate for 10 days. You have to prove you've been double vaccinated. There's a lot of. It's either prove you've been double vaccinated or take a COVID test, isolate for 10 days, all this malarkey, and obviously it's impossible for the UFC to do that. For fighters, for staff, because obviously the staff have to fly from the UK back to America and do another show next weekend in America. It's virtually impossible for the UFC to do a show in Britain at the minute. So what they did is they took it, they said, okay, we're going to take everyone from UFC London and we're just going to stick them in Vegas, in the Apex. And that's what they're doing.
So the event's taking place in Vegas, right?
Yes, I'm pretty sure it's in the Apex. I'm pretty certain.
Yeah, but is the time? Yeah, it's the Apex, but is the time different?
Yes. So because this was UFC London, the time is going to be 9 p.m. British time for the main card. Yeah. The undercard will be about 5 p.m. British time, which is roughly 9 a.m. Eastern time. I want to say something like that. No, sorry. So if it's 6:30, we started 6:30, which was 1:30 Eastern time.
Yeah,
so it will be 12.
British.
It'd be 12 p.m.
12 p.m.
Eastern time.
Eastern time, right?
Roughly, or maybe
Oh
maybe
God, okay, so it's
maybe
in the
fight.
morning for me.
Yeah, maybe fight past prelims about 11:30 a.m. Eastern time.
It's 1 in the
pretty
morning
early.
for me here.
But that's what time I normally have to stay up for. So now you know how it feels. But yeah, so why I think it's staying the same time is because obviously when the UFC do their broadcast deals, they must have made a deal with BT Sport to say we would show
Right.
so many events per year at prime time, British time. Because you remember the UFC on ABC, the first card, that was prime time for Britain too.
Right.
Which was UFC on ABC One. Was
The hallway was skater card.
yes, and that was prime time for Britain.
Right. Yeah, I remember that was like in the morning for me as well.
That was a very early one. So the main card obviously is Brunson versus Till, which is a great fight. And then co-main event, Tom Aspinall versus Sergey Spivak. Spivak steps in on a week's notice.
Yeah, and Aspinall is single-handedly making the division exciting. You know,
Aspinall, I've watched Aspinall live a few times. He's a really, really good fighter. And then we got welterweight. We got Alex Moreno versus David Zawalda.
Moreno's been on a deck.
Pardon?
Moreno's been on a deck.
Sorry, I couldn't quite catch that.
Moreno's been on a deck.
Yes, he has, yeah. And light heavyweight, we've got Mudasius Zukas. I can't say that. Then versus Kalani Roundtree.
Roundtree Jr., yeah.
And then we've got the very long-awaited, really massively hyped debut of Paddy Pimblett versus Luigi Vendemari. Then prelims, which is a great prelim card as well, because we've always missed out the prelims, but this is a great prelim card. Molly McCann headlines against Ji and Kim, flyweight. Bantamweight, we've got Jack Shaw, which is in there 14-0. Jack Shaw, he's probably going to be a contender at bantamweight very soon. Jack Shaw is really, really good. He's fighting Ludovic
Sholinian.
Yes, I can never say that name. Julian Erosa versus Charles Jourdain.
Any standout bangers?
Pardon?
Any standout fights, potential
so
bangers?
The Jack Shaw fight I would be highly interested in. Molly McCann's fight would probably want to watch. Paddy Pimblett obviously is probably going to be fight of the night.
Isn't Molly McCann friends or something with Paddy Pimblett?
She's Paddy's training partner.
Oh, I see.
So they both train together.
Paddy's really bringing people up with him.
So I think that other than the main event, I mean, to be honest, they're all fights to watch. But other than the main event, I'd keep my eye on the Aspinall fight, the Pimblett fight, the McCann fight.
Oh yeah, Aspinall for sure. I mean, he's one of the fastest heavyweights we've seen in a while.
Oh, he really is. He moves like a lightweight, which is crazy.
Yeah.
So Aspinall, Pimblett, McCann, and Jack Shaw fight. They're the 4 fights other than the main event that I would keep my eye on.
Yeah.
Aspinall, I don't know how he's going to react with Spivak. Such short notice. It's a week's notice for Spivak.
Right.
So that might be a bit of an issue there. But
what do you think of the main event?
Oh, that's going to be a terror. I think Darren Till will win. I think he'll knock Brunson out. Probably third round. Probably around the third round.
I think he just needs to find the left hand over and over and over again, because
yeah,
I think he's leagues above Brunson on the feet, but
I mean,
it's reminds me of the Woodley fight, to be honest. Like, this is like a Woodley type challenge for Till, if you look at it that way.
I think the Woodley fight, he was severely drained. He cut too much weight. Welterweight, he's big. He was very big at welterweight. Welterweight wasn't the division for him. It's middleweight.
No, it wasn't.
I mean, if we look back at his fight with Whittaker, he gave Whittaker a really, really good go. Right. And I think.
And I think he sort of froze up in the Woodley fight as well, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I think he did. I think the occasion got to him. First title fight.
Yeah.
He cut a lot of weight. First title fight, and there's a lot of pressure there. I think if he beats Brunson, he will fight Starbender next.
You think You think a win over Brunson is enough?
I think a win over Brunson is enough.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair,
Stylebender's
like
calling for it.
Yeah, exactly. He's calling for it, and it's a hype fight.
Stylebender is saying that this is the probably one of the only fights that is motivating him.
Right. Yeah.
He has said in the past that the only fight he's really motivated for is a fight with Darren Till. So I think that is the fight to make if he beats Brunson. But he has to beat Brunson in an impressive fashion. He can't
decisive way. Yeah.
He can't coast to win. He has to do it in a make an impression of himself for this fight.
Yeah, and he desperately is looking for legitimacy at middleweight because the only win that he has as middleweight is over a guy that really struggles to keep top 10 these days. I know he went toe-to-toe with Whittaker and, even knocked him down and all of that, but like Till really needs a few wins in the mid column and middleweight to prove himself.
No, yeah, totally. But I do think if he wins this fight, he will get that next title shot. It kind of does make sense.
Don't you think he'll fight? I don't know if Vettori is booked for Costa yet, but shouldn't the Vettori fight happen?
What they were supposed to fight Vettori, weren't he? Originally.
Yeah, he was supposed to fight, then he pulled out with the collarbone injury.
So maybe, because he did his shoulder in, but maybe they might make that fight. But I don't think the UFC want to risk a delay. I think they want that Stylebender fight because there's not many contenders for Stylebender. He's already taken out most of the
also we are assuming that Stylebender wins against Whittaker in Oceania whenever that fight happens.
Yeah. We could have Till
Costa. I think he will.
We could make Till Costa. Could.
Yeah, but is Costa through with his, he's had a few feuds with the UFC, right, over his pay. Is he willing to come back yet?
I'm not too sure on that. Look,
I think that'd be a good fight.
Most fighters will sit up for a long time and then they get that phone call and they just do it, don't they?
Yeah,
let's be honest with each other. If they're sat at home, they're complaining about fighter pay, they aren't getting paid.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? They need to fight to be able to afford to complain about fighter pay. Because they're sat at home doing nothing. They're sat at home complaining.
They need to build themselves. They need to build themselves up to a position where they can say, "I deserve to get paid."
Well, yeah. This is what really winds me up. People complain about the UFC's fighter pay, but if the UFC's fighter pay was so bad, do you think the likes of Conor McGregor will be staying around? No. The fighter pay can't be that bad. The problem is that they have shit managers who do shit negotiations, take half the money. That's the problem.
Right.
The problem is that you're negotiating for a crap contract.
Yeah, and that's what Holland's doing. Holland is thinking for the long run. Like what he's doing is he's saying UFC fighter pay isn't shit. The problem is you guys need to get financially savvy. You guys need to get managers. You need somebody to negotiate for you.
Yeah, this is the problem. They just sign a contract, then complain halfway through the contract. But don't do that. Sign a short-term contract. You're going to complain about your fighter pay. Sign a free fight contract. At the end of that contract, make your impression. Say, well, look, I did this in my last 3 fights. I deserve this much more now. Then sign a longer contract, and you keep on doing it that way. Otherwise, you can't.
Also, I think that
what really pisses me off is that you sign this contract, then you complain that you're not getting paid. It's like, well, you signed that contract. Right. You signed the contract. You know how much you were getting paid. Just because you're on a tear up, you signed a 7-fight contract. Okay.
Right.
And then the UFC gives you a title shot on your 5th fight of that contract, and you're still getting paid the same. That's your fault for signing such a long contract. That's such a shitty deal. That's your problem. Sort it out yourself. Fight the contract out. You're still champion then. Say, but this is how much I'm worth now.
And also in my opinion, I think that when it comes to fighter pay issues, I think that the issues that a fighter like John Jones has with the UFC are way, way astronomically different from the issues that let's say an undercard fighter has, who is looking to renew his contract. Because with Jones, the issue that he has is it's different. Like he's looking at it's a really big picture thing. Like the UFC has an issue with paying Jones more because he's demanding an astronomically large amount of money.
Yes, but he's still in the contract. He's still in contract with them.
Yeah, he's demanding a higher pay-per-view cut.
So if you're business savvy, fight that contract. Fight however many fights you got left on the contract. Fight it out, and I can guarantee you that the UFC, if John Jones is heavyweight champion, he fights a contract out and he's still heavyweight champion, or he becomes champion or whatever, they are not going to let him go to Bellator. They are not going to let him go to ONE FC. They are not going to let him go to Rising or to whatever.
Yeah,
league.
but then again, I think
then he could turn around and
Jones...
say, he could turn around then and say, I'm champion. I'm heavyweight champion. I was lightweight champion. I'm undefeated bar that one controversial fight.
Yeah.
I think I am worth this much. Let's talk. And he can do it. He will be in the position to do that. But right now, if he signed a long-term contract, he needs to fight that contract out. And I can guarantee you, it's not a shit contract. It's probably a good contract.
Right.
It's probably better than most people.
Mm-hmm.
The only person who's probably got a better contract is Conor McGregor.
Right.
Because John Jones is the second biggest UFC star on that roster, active at the minute, unless you brought back Brock Lesnar.
Yeah.
So you can guarantee that he's not got a shitty deal. He's probably getting paid more than most. It's just that he needs to fight the fights first.
I think Jones is looking at this as a retirement fight. I don't think he really has the time left for, to go up there, win the title, wait for him to, expire his contract, and then look for a bigger, higher paid contract. I think he's just looking for one last big payday and just ride up into the sunset. Yeah,
but the problem is, you sign the contract, you have a set salary. That's like me going to work tomorrow and going to my boss and saying, I'm not going to teach next week because I want more money.
Right.
Because they just say to me, don't bother turning up to work, which is what Dana White's saying to John Jones. Well, don't bother turning up then. Instead of getting more money, we'll give you no money.
Yeah, he's legally bound, right? Like, you cannot break legal obligations.
He can't fight. He can't go to anywhere else. I don't think he could do boxing fights. Yeah, it's one of them. That's the issue. You can't do it, and he has to finish these fights. He can't go to any other promotion or do any other combat sport related stuff. He might be able to do a bit of BJJ, a bit of wrestling, whatever, but he can't do anything major where he's going to make the big money because he's tied in a contract.
Yeah. Hey, I mean, if nothing works, if nothing works, just send him over to Jake Paul, man. Let's be honest. At this point, that's the only avenue left.
So we have obviously the UFC next weekend. Do we have a PFL card or a Bellator?
I don't think so. Like, I don't think we do. I don't think we have a Bellator card. We might have a PFL card. Hold on.
I don't think we do have it. Let me look at the.
Okay, so Bellator's not.
Hear my dog barking. Sorry about that dog barking.
Yeah, it's not cool. We don't have Bellator there for sure.
So we've got Dana White's contender, and that's it. So there's a one championship. There's KSW. There's Bro vs. Till vs. Brunson. Dana White's contender series, and that's it.
Right.
And then next week, and we have next weekend. No, we got a weekend off. So next week
from the UFC?
From the UFC and from all. Other than no, actually no. So there's nothing next weekend. There's nothing. There's no Dana White contender.
That's going to be
no
a
fight night. There's no Bellator. There's nothing. The following week we've got Dana White's contender series, UFC Smith vs. Span, Bellator's 266. Yoel Romero makes his Bellator debut against Phil Davis.
Yeah.
Rising's on. So it's quite a great weekend.
Right, yeah.
So Rising's back at the Saitama Arena.
This is September 19th, right?
September the 19th for Rising.
And we have 266 the weekend after that.
Yes, Bellator is on the same day as the UFC.
No. I'm saying like the weekend after that we got 266. UFC 266. Yeah.
UFC 266. Oh yeah, they are. Bellator quarter to the UFC.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, Bellator's catching up, I guess.
Well, they're the same. They both got. Bellator's the same. Bellator's 266. Yeah. So then it's Volkanovski versus Ortega on September 25th, which is the same night as Anthony Joshua Usyk fight.
Holy shit! Okay, I mean,
so that's a good night to be a fight fan. You got Usyk, Joshua, which is prime time again, British time, prime time. I don't know what channels are on. I don't know whether it's on DAZN. It's probably DAZN for India, America, but I think Britain it's probably Sky Box Office. I think it'll be.
Yeah.
I think it's Anthony Joshua's last fight on Sky before he goes to DAZN.
Oh, really?
Unless it's Anthony Joshua versus Tyson Fury, which no doubt will be a BT Sport, Sky Sports cross promotion.
Yep.
Be big. That'd be huge.
I think I'll be staying up all night for that because if that's on British prime time, that's like 2 a.m. for me. And then you got UFC in the morning. Yeah, I'm not sleeping that weekend.
Yeah. So it's I'm pretty sure that will be prime time. I think probably about 11 p.m. British time it was the main fight would start normally.
Right.
Just so it's nice time for the States.
Mm-hmm.
And then and then you've got on the 1st of October, Bellator 267, Lima versus MP3 in London. Be a great fight.
Yep.
So there's
October
quite
3
the next couple of months are stacked.
Yeah, pretty much.
So
I think this year in general has been like great for MMA. Like
it has. It's like because of last year, I think MMA is on a comeback. UFC did really well last year. Don't get me wrong, but the other promotions were obviously lacking because there's nothing they could do about it. The UFC obviously has all this money behind it. It has the pulling power of going to Dubai, whereas the others had nothing. Dana could get off playing, take all his fighters to Dubai.
Right.
All the other promotions had no options. Dana was a bit greedy there. Well, not greedy because it's it is what it is.
It's smart. It's business.
It's not.
Business.
Yeah, again, it's business. Yeah, you're all right. It's business.
But
with that said, I think it's time to wrap up. Really.
Yep.
And we'll catch you next week for obviously a breakdown of UFC Fight Night Brunson versus Till. Again, just to say, Paddy's making his UFC debut, which is one to watch. There's a lot of hype behind Paddy at the minute. A lot of hype.
Yep.
So if
what do you think? You think he wins this weekend?
I do think he wins. I think he wins in very impressive fashion too. I think this is his time. I haven't seen him fight many times before. I do think this is his time. So just time to wrap up really. So it's just a shout out to our sponsors, CBD, Enhanced CD, CBD. If you use the offer code Ireland MMA, you can get 10% off your next order. So that is enhancedcd.com. Or if you're in the UK, it's enhancedcd.co.uk. Their UK site is launching, I believe, this week. So it's Ireland MMA for up to 10% off.
Yep.
That's fine.
That's it, I guess.
So
hope you guys had a good episode.
Catch you next week.